welcome back to another episode of the Trinisphere, where a Timmy, a Johnny, and yours truly, Hogg the Spike, battle over all things EDH. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, the like button, and the bell icon to get notifications on our content if you like our videos. Today we're going to do a deck tech on Ardenn, Intrepid Archaeologist, and Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, two of the new partner commanders out of Commander Legends. This deck is all about curve. We want to stay low to the ground and be quick, because our commanders are really good, surprisingly, for uncommons. Let's start by talking about them. Ardenn, Intrepid Archaeologist, is 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, Core Scout. It says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. And it has partner. And the real one, such a gem, we've never had this before. Rograkh, Son of Rograkh, is a 0-cost commander. It is red color identity, and it's a kobold warrior. It's a 0/1 with first strike, menace, trample, and partner. And its flavor text here sums it up quite nicely. Strength is relative. Now when you see all those keywords, but the 0 power, I thought, well, obviously it's going to pair up really well with Ardenn because we could just auto-equip equipments and slap those enchantments on at the beginning of combat and make Rograkh really, really intimidating once we boost his power up. So that was the goal. And I figured I have an Enchantress deck already. I have Siona, Captain of the Pyleus. So I figured, let's do equipment with this one. And you may notice that this deck is also a little Timmy. I had a lot of help from Juan, and he gave me some really good suggestions. So now that we've got the commanders out of the way, our main game plan here is to play Rograkh on turn 1. He costs 0 mana. Play an equipment, preferably. We have a lot of 1-cost equipments. And then on turn 2, play 2 more 1-cost equipments or a 2-drop equipment. And then on turn 3, play Ardenn, auto-equip to Rograkh, and go to the races. Obviously, our win con here is commander damage. We're going to play a bunch of spells to make sure that we get our commander damage in, and we're all in. This is, the one-trick pony. We don't really care. We're not like loading up with board wipes or anything. We are trying to hit as hard as possible and as fast as possible with Rograkh. So let's jump into the equipment first. Now, I wanted each equipment to do something relevant. They're not necessarily, there's a lot of equipment that I'm sure some people will play in their lists, but I wanted to make each one feel important. They don't necessarily give a buff. So for instance, our first 1-cost equipment here we have is Basilisk Collar. Now this doesn't give a buff to Rograkh, so if you play it and it equips, he's still a 0/1, but it gives him Death Touch and Lifelink, which are 2 keywords that he didn't already have. And the combination of First Strike Death Touch is insane. And then if you add Trample in that as well, it gets Nutter Butters. Trample, Menace, First Strike, Death Touch, crazy. So that's really good. So, Basilisk Collar by itself isn't going to do anything, but when you pair it with another equipment that boosts Rograkh's power, it's going to go wild. So we have Basilisk Collar on 1, we have Bloodforged Battle Axe on 1, Bone Splitter, Colossal Hammer. Now this was one of the main reasons I wanted to play the deck. Who doesn't love cheating the equip cost on a Colossal Hammer? It's 1-cost artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying, but it has equip 8. Well, with Ardenn on the field, we don't even care about the equip, and there are plenty of other ways to bypass the equip on this card, not without just our commander. We have Commander's Plate, Masterwork of Ingenuity, Shadow Spear, and Skull Clamp. We also have Blackblade Reforged, Hero's Blade, Lightning Greaves, Mask of Memory, Seraphic Greatsword, Swiftfoot Boots, and Sword of the Animist. Our 3-drop equipments are Godsend. Now this one was a late edition. It wasn't in the list I played for our recording, but it also seems amazing because of the menace and the trample. Godsend gives equipped creature +3/+3, so already we're getting good stats for a 3-drop equipment. But it says whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by 1 or more creatures, you may exile one of those creatures. So if Rograkh attacks and they block the 2 creatures, they have to. It has menace. Godsend removes one of them immediately. So even if they had a chance of trading with combat damage, that's long gone at this point. And then you trample over that 1 creature for hopefully a ton of damage. We also have Maul of the Skyclaves, one of the only equipment we're playing that gives flying. But I figured I'd try it out. It seems cool. It auto-equips, so we don't have to worry about it the first time. And then The second time, if we don't have one of our auto equippers, it's only 4 to equip, so it seems pretty good as well. We have Sunforger. Most of our spells we're playing are instants. So we have, kind of a Sunforger package. Sunforger being 3-drop equipment. Equipped creature gets +4/+0. And then it has red and white unattached Sunforger. Search your library for a red or white instant card with CMC 4 or less and cast that card without paying its mana cost. And then shuffle your library. So a lot of our spells we can get. And then, if we're in a pinch, we can get a Boros Charm for Indestructible, or, a Generous Gift, or a Chaos Warp or something, just to, as removal. If we're ever in a cinch and we need that, we can get it with our Sunforger. It's all about tutors and consistency and getting to our game plan as fast as possible and as often as possible. 4-drop equipment, we have Hammer of Nazan. This one ported over from a Godo deck. It auto-equips to a creature when it enters the battlefield, and it gives the equipped creature +2/+0 and Indestructible. And then whenever another equipment comes into play, that equipment auto-equips as well. We also have Helm of the Host, another Godo card. We're only playing this because of Godo. We're playing Godo in the deck, backup win condition, say they kill Rograkh a ton of times or something. You weren't able to get in there for that commander damage. We can rely on the backup plan of Godo plus Helm, 11 mana, play Godo, tutor for Helm, equip Helm, go to combat, make a Godo token that's non-legendary, it has haste, attack, untap all non-samurai creatures, get another combat, win the game. We only have one 5-mana equipment, Batterskull. I figured, if you're playing an equipment deck, it's kind of like the de facto equipment. Outside of swords, I kind of wanted to avoid swords. I feel like swords are too, good stuffy. Sure, you could play them if you have them. I only have Feast and Famine, but I wanted to avoid those. I wanted to focus on other equipment that do cool things, basically. And outside of those, Batterskull is, you see the legacy decks and stuff. Batterskull's always in the decks. And it's okay, it might get cut as well, but the vigilance and the lifelink for Rograkh was interesting. And then on 6, we have Argentum Armor, which is awesome. It's so good. It gives equipped creature +6/+6. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you destroy a permanent. And that's fantastic. Blow up a ghostly prison or something that's hindering your attacks, or blow up a blue source to stop the blue player from countering your spells. And it is equip 6, but again, we have so many ways of cheating that. We've got a bunch of mana rocks, not as many as our usual decks that we play on this channel, but the good ones that you would play in really any Boros shell. Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Mana Crypts. Mox Amber is really good with our commander because you can play Rograkh on 0 or on turn 1, and then Mox Amber for 0 on turn 1, and then have 2 mana on turn 1. We also have Soul Ring and Talisman of Conviction. Now, those aren't the only ways to ramp. Boros is limited on its ways, but we do have some other things. We have Smothering Tithe and Curse of Opulence, which is really good to play on turn 1. Put it on an opponent, play Rograkh on turn 1 as well, and then your next turn you can attack that player, make a treasure, and then anytime somebody else attacks that player, you're also going to get a treasure. So that can get your mana production going fast as well. The only other enchantment we're playing outside of Smothering Tithe and Curse of Opulence is Sigarda's Aid. Just gives us the utility of casting our equipments as though they had flash, and it's another auto-equipper. Whenever an equipment comes into play, if we have Sigarda's Aid in play, it'll auto-equip to our creatures. We have 2 spells that auto-equip. We're playing both Magnetic Theft and Resolute Strike. Magnetic Theft attaches any equipment to any creature, and Resolute Strike only attaches to a warrior, but it also gives +2/+2, and Rograkh is conveniently a warrior. We got a couple removal spells. We're playing Swords to Plowshares, Generous Gift, Chaos Warp, Wear and Tear. Again, we're not really looking to overload on the removal spells. We want to maximize the number of equipment and just tutoring for those equipment. That's our game plan, right? Like I said before, we're all in on this. We have a couple ways to protect our commander. We've got Boros Charm, like I mentioned before. We have Flawless Maneuver and Deflecting Swat, 2 of the free spells from Commander 2020. Both, again, are insane with Rograkh because you have them on turn 0, so you always have access to these spells. They're free as early as turn 1. We also have Rebuff the Wicked, 1 white instant counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. And then creature-wise, to protect our stuff, we have Bastion Protector, which is awesome in this deck. We have 2 commanders, so its effect is ×2, but it's a 2 and a white for a 3/3 human soldier. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have Indestructible. Ardenn has to make it to combat to get that auto-equip, and before combat, they could try to remove him. If we have Bastion Protector in play, becomes a lot harder for them. You know, they need that exile, they need that swords or that path to exile. And then it also gives Rograkh a buff. You know, +2/+2 isn't nothing. We have a bunch of tutors, as many as I could think of to play. We're playing Gamble, live fast, live hard, live fast. Is that what they say? Gamble, you know, you're gonna gamble for Colossal Hammer most of the time. Get that, try to slam that on turn 1. If it doesn't work, then we'll figure it out from there. But I would say 99% of the time you're gonna gamble for Colossal Hammer. We have Stoneforge Mystic, Tutors for an Equipment, Stone Hewer Giant. We have Recruiter of the Guard and Imperial Recruiter. We have Goblin Engineer, Tutors for an Equipment and puts it in the graveyard, and then we can welder an artifact into an equipment. You know, say we have Skull Clamp and we want Colossal Hammer or something, we can swap the two. We also have Armored Sky Hunter, which isn't really a tutor, but it digs for an equipment. It's a new card from Commander Legends that I really like. 3 and a white for a 3/3 Cat Knight with flying. Whenever Armored Sky Hunter attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library, you may put an aura or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control, put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is another auto-equipper, as well as Heavenly Blade Master. Doesn't really auto-equip to a creature you want, it auto-equips to itself, but it then gives a buff to all your other creatures for the number of equipments that attach to her. We have Pure Steel Paladin auto-equips, and we have the Stone Hewer Giant, which both tutors and auto-equips. Couple cards that cheat cost on our equipment. We have a Stoneforge Mystic that puts an equipment from our hand into play, and we have Zerda the Dawnwaker, which makes our equip costs 2 less to cast. To make sure we get our stuff on time, we've got a bunch of ways to draw cards. Akiri Fearless Voyager, Pure Steel Paladin, SRAM Senior Edificer, Stonehaven Outfitter, Wheel of Misfortune, Heartwarming Redemption, and Thrill of Possibility. We only have 1 board wipe in the deck. We have Chandra's Ignition. Seems really good when you got that big, you know, 8/9 Rograkh. Deal 8 damage to all creatures and all players, and then attack. It's unlikely that they have 2 creatures that survive, which they'll need to block, because again, Menace, people always forget. So that guarantees you're gonna get a commander swing that turn. And we also have Seize the Day, which is just gonna win the game. I mean, a lot of these cards, like I said, got a lot of help from Juan, but the deck is awesome. I think, you know, many of the decks I build for the show, I end up taking apart or, you know, turning into something else, but I think I am gonna stick with this one and update it when new sets come out because it's a blast to play. All right, guys, tell me what you think. Do you like the deck list? What are your favorite picks from Commander Legends? What partners are you brewing with? Let us know in the comments down below, and remember, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, if you're not first, you're last.